And on this episode of Who Could Have Possibly Seen This Coming, we have this from comingsoon.net. Donald Glover and Maya are not returning for Mr. and Mrs. Smith Season 2. The fact that there's a second Mr. and Mrs. Smith season coming out there, that's insane that they're actually going to continue this property. If you haven't seen the first season, which obviously you haven't because it was nothing more than an absolute dumpster fire, the series started off with Alexander Skarsgård and this other woman in a house living together, and there was so much believable love in that scene that as I was watching episode 1, I thought, wow, we are going to get a fantastic show going forward. And then they died in 5 minutes, and then we got the Mr. and Mrs. Smith of the show, these two people that there was no sexual tension at all. They were just terrible at their jobs entirely. They couldn't do a single thing right. It made no sense to hire. If you're a company and you're a spy company, why would you hire either one of these people to remotely be spies? They were bad from the beginning. They were awkward. They had weird tendencies. They couldn't do anything right. They weren't prepped for spy work. I'm not even prepped for spy work. That's like them hiring me or you right now and saying, go out there and do spy things. You think you could do it? Well, obviously I think I could do it, but I don't think I'd be good as someone else, though. That's actually a trained spy. In fact, I might want to sign up for this. I'm curious if there's an agency. But I digress, though. The show was terrible. The show was awful to begin with. It was poorly written. The jokes did not land at all. The action was terrible. There was nothing redeeming. Even though I like Donald Glover as an actor, he was even putting in a stinker performance here. He didn't even look like he cared about anything at all. The quote from the head of Amazon MGM Studios: "The success of the first season with its incredibly modern, when has modern ever proven to be a good thing?" What does modern mean? I don't know, but it certainly was not good in any aspect at all. And then she has the audacity to say, sexy reinvention. Listen, there was nothing sexy about that show. There was not anything remotely close to the scene of Angelina Jolie in latex. You couldn't even remotely sniff what that scene did in your entire show. Is a testament to the brilliant creators Donald Glover and Francine Stallone. You know, Donald Glover, now that I'm thinking about it, he's not all that great, though. He hasn't really been in that many great things, though. He was Lando Calrissian, who was banging his robot friend. He was in Spider-Man Homecoming, I guess, playing the Prowler, but not yet the Prowler, who was just kind of awkward and stuff like that. He was also in The Martian, where he was, again, just the awkward guy. So I think he was in a TV show called Community that I guess that's where he got his name out there, but you're really banking on this guy to sell you a massively successful product? I don't know about that, man. I bet people were looking at that and going, oh wow, he's the fun, goofy one, so that should of course translate over to some kind of success going forward. I mean, we don't really have Dwight Schrute spin-offs, do we? Do we really have Rainn Wilson? Didn't he change his middle name to like some environmentalist thing or something like that, though? We really don't have Rainn Wilson going off and doing all these massive franchises. I mean, John Krasinski is where it's at. John Krasinski and Steve Carell went off to have very, very successful careers. So maybe the dude that wasn't the main character is not really the guy to bank on in terms of Donald Glover. We are proud to bring you another season filled with unforgettable journeys and new adventures. The second episode, I'm not lying to you. They had to go on their hands and knees and pretend that they were dogs to distract an extremely horny target. Let me just say that again for the audience. They had to get on their hands and knees and bark and sniff each other to distract this dude so they can stab him with a syringe. And then after they stabbed him with the syringe, he ran downstairs screaming, "They're going to kill me," and then outed every single affair that was going on at the event. It was a display of turn your brain off and just consume. Not a single positive thing that I could possibly say about this show, except the opening scene where the two people died. And yet I believe their relationship, I believe they were good at their jobs, I believe they were fully in love with each other more than the main characters. So what I think season 2 is going to be, I wonder if this is just going to be like the American Horror Story franchise or something like that, though, where every season is just something new. Like, remember the first season when everyone died? And they're like, hey, we're making a second season. I'm thinking, like, how could you possibly make a second season out of this? And I said, okay, well, every season is going to be a different thing. That's what the original plan for the Halloween movies were. I don't know if you know that, though. They had 1 and 2, and that was going to be the end of Michael Myers. That's why 3 had nothing to do with him. And then afterwards, people said, wait a second, we love Michael Myers so much, though, let's bring him back. So what I think is going to happen is that every season of Mr. and Mrs. Smith is going to be about 2 different spies entirely. And will that be good? I don't know. It can't get much worse. It can't get much worse at this point, though. I mean, in episode 1, he had to put a thing in her ear so they can hear each other, and she thought he was trying to kiss her, and she moved away. It's like, you're supposed to pretend to be a married couple fully in love, and you're shuddering away from this guy's touch entirely in public. Terrible show. Let me know if you saw that show. I'm really curious about your opinion of it. More importantly, what do you think is going to happen with this series? Dare I say franchise going forward? Let me know what you think about that.